here with Danny Brody, Vice President in Investor Relations of none other than TGOD. How are you doing today?
Doing good, thanks. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on the show. I can only imagine over the last little while you have been busy.
It's been pretty hectic. I don't sleep too often.
Yeah, it's a crazy world, and of all of the cannabis companies, TGOD is probably one of the ones in the spotlight the most. You guys are everywhere. Everywhere you go, you mention your name. You've done a very, very good job in that in regards.
Well, we're trying. I mean, we had this big date on November 2nd. Everyone was talking about our privately issued stock coming free trading, and it's been sort of the talk of the town recently that this is a massive liquidity event. Yep. And we're past that now, and people are seeing that isn't the end of the world. So yeah, I imagine there's lots of people talking about it still.
Well, it's interesting, in the days leading up to that, where you saw it getting pushed down, whether it be people selling out of fear or whatever it be, games. We all know the manipulation that happens in this market, especially with cannabis. But pushed down, I'm trying to think of what the low was, in the 240s or 250s, and then it just launched. Yeah,
I mean, it went the complete opposite direction, which just goes to show you the market always has a mysterious way of working. Yeah. But I mean, we traded up to $10 in September there, and we hit a low of, I think it was 246.
Is that what it was?
On November 2nd, the open of November 2nd, and then the stock just took off after that. We've traded about 80 million, 90 million shares in 3-4 days. Nice. Just clearing through all that privately issued stock that came out.
Yeah, and it's currently sitting above $4. Yeah, and it's above all of your financing.
Exactly, yeah. We're back over $4 now. I think we're trading at $4.10 today. Yeah. But we issued stock privately at 50 cents, $1.15, $1.65. Our IPO is $3.65. So absolutely everybody that has invested in our company has been able to make money, which is a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, that's what you hope for, and that's what you plan for, right? Exactly. That you're always, and all those are in the money. It is nice to hear that people who went into private placements took a leap of faith, especially the 50-cent people. They did not know what you were putting together, not to the same extent.
Well, they had
what you've been able to do.
They had no idea. They took they took a shot based off what our vision was for the company. Yeah. And we've tried to every step of the way through execute on that vision. And as we grow as a company, we just have to keep pushing that forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, why don't we jump into some questions here? Sure. Because we had questions both from our chat rooms, but also I saw you did a really good Q&A where you're going over a lot of different elements. Yeah. So why don't we just jump into a couple, one of which we already spoke about, the warrants. Yes. Where, do you know how many have been burned through roughly, or what's going on in that area?
Well, the 215 warrants to be accelerated in July, those had a free trade date of November 2nd as well. So we brought in, there is 17.1 million that were exercised, so almost 90% of those warrants were exercised, which brought in an additional $38 million for our company.
Very nice, very nice. And that's a lot of firepower to be able to use.
Well, we've now raised $460 million, so we're completely funded for all of our domestic operations. We're fully funded for both Quebec facility, the Quebec facility and the Ancaster facility, and then everything on the international front. Yep. So we've gone heavily into Europe. We're in Denmark now. We're in Poland. We're now in Mexico, Jamaica, and this extra $160 million is all going towards international and different M&A initiatives.
Well, that's the buzz right now, and I don't mean the buzz as it's a fad or a fad. It's not, but that's what people are starting to finally realize. Wait a second, the whole reason everyone was so excited about Canadian companies isn't necessarily about what you're able to sell in Canada. That's a big component still, but the massive part is where you're going to be globally, because it's turning. Well, look at the world right now.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
So I mean, it's all about population demographics for us. But you look at Canada. It's a great place to live, and I'm a huge advocate for what's happening with our system here and legalization. It's incredible, but there's only 38 million people here. So you start looking at Europe, you've got 750 million. You look at South America, you've got 620 million in all of Latin America. So these are populations that are 18, 20 times out of Canada. So if Canada's a good place to start, it's a good place to build the facilities, build the IP, build the infrastructure and the teams, but it's by no means a place to finish. We want to be in every single country that has a legal system available.
Exactly. And when it comes to your different facilities, are you able to give updates on either one of them, or where we are, or how things are developing? Because somebody actually brought up a point that they said, oh, TGOD isn't growing right now, but that's not true.
Excuse me. Absolutely not true. It couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, we got our cultivation license in August of 2016. We got our wholesale license after that, about a year after that in 2017. And we've been growing and breeding at small scale in our current Ancaster facility since then. So the amount of, it's taken some time to get everything right, but that's the whole point. We want to use it as a beta test, as sort of a launch facility for once our new projects start coming online. So the next 150,000 comes online in Q1. It's completely on schedule. Q2 is when our massive facility in Valleyfield is coming online. So these are going to be producing, by the end of next year, upwards of 170,000 kilograms run rate. So these are monstrous facilities that are incredibly high technology. And one of the things I should add here is Aurora is still our partner, right? So we've been able to learn an incredible amount from Aurora Sky and apply all of that knowledge to our 2 facilities that we're building. So it should be pretty exciting going forward. And then my last point is for up-to-date construction videos. Every Tuesday we release new videos on our website. So TGOD.ca. Last Tuesday we just put a brand new video on both Valleyfield and our Ancaster sites, so you can see for yourself where we're at with construction.
I like that, because as an investor you want to see the progress as it's happening. You open up that little bit of the can where people are like, oh, why isn't it moving faster? I'm like, well, have you ever built anything? Like you screwed up building your bunk bed. Stop telling us how to build a construction, a massive LP.
There's so much that goes into it.
But it's nice to see it, though. It's nice to see your investment dollars going into place. And I think that's why you have the following that you do, because you guys are actually very straightforward. I remember when I first heard about you, I heard about you late. I had just missed the 165 private placement.
Yep.
But I remember looking at the website and seeing everything and just how upfront everything was with where's the money going, why are we investing money. I remember going to the website and like all my questions were answered there. I'm like, I'm not used to this.
Yeah, I mean that's from day one. We've been a shareholder-owned company. We invested our own money. This is kind of how we envision being treated as shareholders. So everything, we've been in the industry for a while now. So we want to do everything we can to be completely transparent and provide as up-to-date, detailed information as possible. That's why I spent the time to put out that Q&A on Friday and try and address some of these issues, because there's lately there's been a whole lot of misconceptions and frankly just fake news about us out there. So why not take the time and address a lot of those questions and keep people more up to date? That's what I would want as a shareholder.
Yeah, and it's good that you are, because there's so many different companies that are out there right now who we all get that everyone's busy. We get it. But when you completely turn your back on social media or on what people are doing, like, oh, those are just bashers, or it sucks, because yes, they are just bashers, and half is probably not true, but they have an effect. And you have to address them, which is what you guys are doing here, because it's amazing. I mean, what I do on a daily basis through different chat rooms that we have through our community, and just myself, I'm always reading. Yeah, it's amazing the garbage you find out there. Where like I personally, I remember one time I visited a facility and they started. We did a video with Matica and down in Quebec, and on Stockhouse they started saying, oh, these follow the money guys, they just made up this facility. Those are fake doctors. That's a fake facility. Nothing's real. I'm just thinking to myself, that's how easy it happens.
It's crazy.
And it's a shame when companies are putting in the effort, and you are on track for certain elements, yet someone out there probably short, or probably there's always a reason.
Yeah, of course.
And too many companies don't address it, so I appreciate it. Why don't we go through a couple of these questions?
Sure, let's do it.
I printed it here because this is the way I can memorize it a lot better, because it's written in front of me.
Perfect. I love it.
One of the questions, I really like this one actually, because this one spans everywhere. Why was there that huge sell-off throughout? And that's not TGOD. That's industry-wise.
The whole market.
The whole market.
Well, I mean, every single, and cannabis market it happens every single time in the cannabis market. I guarantee it. So we have this incredible effect called buy the rumor, sell the news. So you buy leading up to any sort of big milestone in the cannabis industry, and then sells off afterwards. You look back to April 2017 when the first legislation started coming in for the Cannabis Act. Whole market again came off for months. It didn't. April 2018. It didn't start up again until Constellation made that big investment into Canopy in the middle of August. Again, with October 17th, it just, time and time again, we have this buy on rumor, sell on news effect in the cannabis market that is just reigns so strong. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Second thing, we've run into a whole bunch of different issues with the supply chain. So not only is there no supply available from LPs right now, everyone is also sold out. But I'll use my own experience. I put an order in on the OCS on October 17th, and I got about 6 different emails from them with some sort of reason why I didn't have my product. I just got it. I just got it last night.
Really?
So I mean, I feel like that's probably, what is that, 15, 16 days since legalization. So you have these supply chain issues, and you have a whole bunch of different companies out there that haven't focused on becoming operationally ready.
Yeah.
So I mean, with us at TGOD, we've purposely delayed our launch until we can make sure that we have the right product, make sure that we have consistency, make sure we have everything lined up to make sure people are and to make sure medical patients and recreational consumers are happy with us. Those are the 2 biggest complaints. So we wanted to work through that. We wanted to make sure we're ready, and to that effect, we're going to be launching in January to our Founders Club, so 200 select medical patients that we're inviting, and then we're going to roll out our strategy basically all throughout next year as we ramp up our production.
No, and it's smart that way as well, because one of the biggest things that I'm seeing in different social media mediums and all that about legalization, the rollout, is that these products went out there, and then within like a day or 2, they couldn't get it anymore. It was either sold out, or like you said, Canada Post may or may not have done that a little strategically to go on partial strike, or rotating strike during this time. But
yeah, that's an issue too.
You want to make sure you enroll it properly, because we're also having issues right now with certain LPs where buds coming in, allegedly, of course, they're moldy and they're not prepared because they were storing, or they weren't prepared for it. Rollout is so important, and if it's anything like the way you guys are treating investor relations and information, I can only imagine your rollout is going to have a lot of thought put into it.
Big time. You only get one shot at a launch, right? So we want to make sure we do everything right. And I will add one other thing, because people always ask me if I'm worried about this sell-off. I've thought about this a little bit more, and I would be worried if the demand wasn't there. That's what would worry me. Yeah. But the demand is there. Stores are sold out everywhere. They can't get shipments out on time. There's 4-hour lineups all across the country. So the demand is, I think the demand has exceeded what original expectations were. And I think that's going to grow tremendously as we start seeing more product come available throughout the next, 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, and the demand has been incredible. Yeah. It's been the amount of stores, the amount of LPs, the amount of people who are just completely selling out. Like, everyone knew it was going to happen. We knew there was going to be a supply crunch, and but
100 orders
way faster.
100 orders per minute on the OCS.
Is that what
the site?
They're at now?
It's incredible.
Crazy.
So I'd be worried if the demand wasn't there, but the demand is definitely there. And again, that's just Canada, right? This whole international side is going to be massive going forward for all LPs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to keep going through this, because you took your time putting these together, and a lot of these I was looking at earlier, and I really did enjoy reading them and seeing the answers. So I want to be able to bring that out for other people. One aspect, you actually did already touch up on it, and I think it's an important one actually, was Aurora. Aurora's expiry to purchase more, if I'm getting this correctly, or their option has expired, but you're very much still partnering with them. You're very much still working with them.
Of course. I mean, their option expired. Cam came off our board. Their option expired, and they sold 6.1 million shares, which all sound negative, but when you start breaking these things down, so Cam, he said it himself, he had to recuse himself from board meetings, which is, understandable as TGOD's kind of grown up as a company, and we're not necessarily that younger brother anymore. You start looking at reasons why they might have sold some shares. Well, first of all, their investment portfolio was almost $700 million a few months ago, according to their latest presentation. And if you work out the numbers on them owning 60 million shares of TGOD shares and warrants, that worked out to about 55%. So any sort of prudent portfolio manager, if you have one asset or one company in a portfolio that's worth 55%, that only makes sense to take some of the weighting off. That's basic portfolio management. So and then these other things with the agreement. So they had the option to acquire up to 51% of our company through 4 separate milestone options. One was 8%, one was 3 were 8%, one was 12%. So because they said no to the first one at 8%, which would have been bought at a 10% discount to market, the other 4 or the other 3 have expired now. So they no longer have the option to acquire over 51% of our company, which for us has been tremendous. For the reason that when we're talking to different large-scale beverage and CPG companies, if they were to do a deal with us and basically, I mean, say we did a Constellation type deal and, you know, our stock went up, whatever it does, 2 times, 3 times, and then Aurora came in, they could acquire control of our company. And then that company has just done a deal with sort of an unintentional third-party LP. Right? And then my last point on this is the fact that we would have issued the 8% to them, which would have been about $120, $130 million at a 10% discount to market. So you might recall we just did a bought deal for $6.85 per share for $76 million. That combined with all of the IPO warrants exercises that came in at $7 created enough capital that basically offset that entire investment from them. So we effectively had much less dilution for the same amount of capital. So, you know, for us, we kind of see it as a win-win-win sort of all around. And they're still our partners. So they only sold 10% of their position. They still own 90%. They still own 50+ million shares and warrants of us. You know, they've helped us tremendously all the way through. So,
no, it's fantastic. And it's funny how people say, like, even when they look at directors and they sell some stock, everyone freaks out. I'm like, no, that's why they had options, because they were working to increase the value of the company so they can be rewarded for, like, those are all, that's why it's called an incentive.
Exactly.
So I've never, it's a lot different when you're getting rid of 10%, 15% of something. Like you said, it's prudent in your own portfolios. I hope people are doing that who are listening. Sell a little bit as it's going up, but it's a lot different than if someone said, you know what, I'm liquidating. That's when I start looking like, okay, why the liquidating? You got to figure out why. But
that's a bit of a different story.
But when it's very prudent. So I've always had a beef against why people freak out about that kind of stuff. Just me personally. Yeah,
fair enough. I mean, we spent. I've been working 7 days a week, you know, 15 hours a day for 2+ years on TGOD. So we've all been, you know, working just around the clock, nonstop, trying to make this happen. I even lived on the farm for almost a year with 7 other people in the beginning of when we started the company. Really? 7 of us lived on the farmhouse where we were producing beside it. We had a house beside it that we actually lived there for almost a year when we were getting the company started. And I mean, the amount of time, effort, and personal money that we've all put into it, you know, we of course, we want to make money too, right? So that's the name of the game. So I don't think, you know, insider sales are kind of just part of the game. And then the other thing is, you know, it's only going to be 10 or 15% of any one insider's position. So we actually try to really hammer that down to our investors when you see something like that and you see someone selling. Remember the biggest one. Was it Bruce or someone? They sold this massive, and everyone, or maybe it was even with Roar, and they freaking out and everything, but then they realized that they actually sold their own personal stock to help their company. I'm like, okay, so did you overreact before? Yes. So I've never understood that. I love the fact of seeing, whether it be directors, people who work with the company, I like being able to see that they put all that time and effort in, and yes, of course they're going to take some of that out. Wouldn't you, like if you have your own investments and it's your own shares, you take some out after that. It's part of it. So fair enough.
If you ever do see this guy selling some shares, better not be angry. It's well deserved.
Thank you.
So I always want to make sure I say that because I've never understood that mentality. But no, it's really interesting to see what you and your team have been doing. It's funny because it's just starting. As crazy as it is, it's just starting. We're at the very beginning of a race. We look forward to having you back on the show in the near future to continue watching how you're progressing.
Perfect. I'm happy to come anytime. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.